Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. So if you are new to my channel, my name is Arnabi. I am working in a FAANG company as a SD. So you know that I am taking mock interview in TopMed currently, and I have seen that some of the mistakes, some common mistakes you are doing. So I thought, why not come up with a new series where I will invite some people who are currently working in the product based company, and they will come to my channel. I will be the interviewer. I will give them one question and they will try to solve it, and here we will record this session and it will be a demo mock interview for you. So whenever you are preparing for your mock interview, or even though you are dreaming to land up in a product based company and you are not sure like how to handle the question, how to answer that time, this video is surely going to help you. So I will come up with some videos like this. Hope you will enjoy and you will learn a lot of things, especially the do's and don'ts you should like do and should not do in time of interview. These things is surely going to help you. So without wasting any time, let's start. And if you are liking this, please let me know in the comment section. Also, if you are new to my channel, please do consider to subscribe. Thank you. Let's start. Hi all, so today I have Srinidhi with me who will be helping me for this interview series. So hi Srinidhi, thank you for coming to my channel. So would you like to introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, Arnabi. Thanks for inviting me to your channel. So hi guys, so I'm Srinidhi. I'm interested in building full stack projects. So basically Java is my primary skill. So I would love to work on backend development. I'm interested in working on Java backend development. And also I love to give mock interviews regularly so that I improve myself for upcoming coding interviews. Yes, this is about me, Arnabi.
Okay,
Thanks.
so I will quickly paste the question. So I guess the question is there. So we have a binary matrix having zeros and ones, and this is sorted. That means all the zeros will come first and then all the ones will be there, and those are sorted in row wise. Like all the rows are sorted, and you need to find the maximum number of one present in which row. So for example, in the first row, you can see in the third row, there are 4 ones, that is a maximum. So you need to just return which row having maximum one. Now to edge case condition, if there is no such that having one, sorry, I mentioned zero, having one, that means all the elements are zeros only. Then you need to return -1. Else what you can do, you can and one thing is that if you are getting 2 rows having same value, then you need to return the first row. Like in the second one you can see, so you need to return the first row.
Okay. Okay. I'm clear with the question, Arnabi, but one doubt, suppose say if the row elements are sorted, so the one with zeros will always appear on the left side, right? And the one with the ones always
Yes.
appear on the right side.
Yes.
So that's how it's sorted, row wise.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Arnabi. So can I discuss the approach for this?
Yeah, sure, we can start.
So basically, we will be using a brute force approach.
Yes.
So this is the first step. So I'll just count the number of ones in each row by using a counter, and I'll store them in a separate counter value. So
Yes.
we'll get the counter. Based on the counter value, we can count the number of rows present in each row. So for the first row, we have 3 ones, and for the second row, we have 2 number of ones, and we'll compare each of the counter values between the number of rows. And one with the highest counter value will be the highest number of ones that row has, and we'll return that row index.
Okay.
This is how we will be using the brute force approach for this matrix analysis.
Okay, so that is pretty straightforward. Like you will go to every row and count the values of one. So what is the time and space complexity?
So for this, since we have n number of rows and we have m number of columns, we can directly say it's m cross n.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong, yeah, we can use. We'll be using m cross n as the time complexity for this.
Okay. And then can you further optimize it?
Optimize in the sense, if suppose we need not to traverse each row, you mean, for counting the number of
Yeah,
ones?
or maybe the time complexity, maybe some more optimized one other than m cross n.
So since, as you're saying, the rows are sorted already,
Yes.
can we use binary search for finding the index with the first occurrence of 1? So,
Okay.
so
And that
for
like, so you're saying you will be applying binary search and find the first occurrence of one.
yeah, suppose if we find that, will it be okay? So like,
Yeah, so like based on first occurrence of one, you will calculate the actual how many ones are there.
yeah, so we'll first find out the index, like which is the first occurrence of 1. Then we need not to iterate further. Like we once these array elements are sorted, I mean the some elements are sorted, we would be knowing further elements will also be 1.
Yes.
So we can directly implement the binary search approach, and we can easily count the number of ones that are present instead of traversing the entire row. We can reduce the search space by using
Yes.
the binary search. So in the first
And
row,
yeah, like what will be the time complexity in that case?
the time complexity for this, since there are n rows and n columns, will it be n cross log m? So n log m would be the time complexity for this one. Yeah.
Okay. So that is also like optimized one, but still can you further optimize it, or maybe a more optimized one? Can you think of something?
Yeah. So even we can optimize this. Uh, Basically, we can even traverse from the right side. So since we already know, I mean, at the index number 0, I mean, at the rightmost index, we can start traversing through the elements, I mean, the row elements. So once we traverse through them, we can just further traverse only if 1 is present. Suppose if we
Okay.
say 1 as winner and 0 as loser, we would be not asking 0 if 1 is the winner, or 0 if it is the loser or not. So if we get 1, we'll propagate further to the left or propagate further. And if we get 0, we'll propagate downwards. So in first row, we'll get the number of ones while propagating further, and we'll count the number of ones also along with the row count. So in the
Okay.
first row, we'll get the row count as, I mean, the number of ones as 3, and we'll make a count on it. And once we get 0, we'll not propagate further because we already know we have got 3 number of
These,
ones in
yeah,
this row.
the count of one is done.
Yeah. So hence we need not to ask further who is the winner or loser. We'll just propagate further, asking the next column for
Yes.
checking the most number of ones appearing in that row. So, and hence once we propagate that, based on the row values, we can easily note down the number of ones present in a number of rows. That's how my approach for this optimized approach, so that we need not to iterate the entire row. Suppose say in the last row, if we are getting one and there are no number of ones present in there are no point of iterating to the entire row. So we can use that approach only.
Okay, so what if like, so you're saying in 0 you will go to the next row. Now what
Yeah.
if you get a 1, then what will you do?
Okay.
So if there is 0, that meaning no need to do anything, because in the previous one we have already got the number of ones we needed. But what if we got a 1? For example, in the first example, you are at the 0th index of the first row, and you
Mhm.
have 3 ones, and you will go down to the second row and you find there is 1 0. Okay, then no need to do anything. Then you Go to next row, there is 1. Then what will be you do?
So the thing is, Arnabi, yeah, that's a good question actually. We need to get 1 at the 0th index. I mean, we need to get the first occurrence of 1 at the 0th index. If we get 0 at the 0th index, then again we need to navigate further to find the first appearance of 1 in our particular row. So in the
Or do
second
we need
row,
it?
yeah, so that's how we'll get to know we'll get to know on which index our 1 is appearing, huh?
Yeah, but see, in the first row, you can see the 0 is at the first index and we have 3 ones, right? So in the second row, when you are coming and you got 1 0, so at max, what can happen? All the ones at its left are all are 1, or there can be more 0, or there can be no 1. These things can happen, but there cannot be more than 3 ones, right?
Yeah, correct. So we just need not to iterate further because already we
Yes.
know that we are
Yes.
having the maximum number of 3s in the first row, and we need not to no, iterate further because we already have the maximum number of 1s in our first row.
Yeah.
So
And
we can
then,
just
yeah. And if
yeah.
we go down again, so here we are
Mhm.
getting another 1. Then what
Yeah.
will we do?
So since the row elements are sorted already, we can easily come to conclusion that if occurrence of index number 0, if 1 is appearing, then all the elements further will also be 1
Yes.
because
Yes.
all the elements are sorted. And further, we no need to again traverse through the rest of the elements that is present at the fourth row.
Yes.
I mean,
So for
in row number
example,
4.
suppose you were like the third row is something lucky case, like
Okay.
you are having or ending in the 0th index of the third row. But suppose,
Okay.
for example, I am making a small change. For example, here is also a 0. So we
Okay.
will end up here. When we
Mhm.
will start, we will end up here, and we have 2 ones. We will
Okay.
go down and we can see there is 0. We know don't need to do anything. We will go to the second row, and here we
Oh.
are getting 1. And now that is not the 0th index. Then what will we do? Do we go left or right, or what
Uh,
we should do?
Yeah, so at index number 2 of row 3, if we get 1, we already know the successive elements that is on to the right will
Yes.
always be 1. So
Yes.
because the row elements are always sorted. If for the previous, we need to check whether it's 0 or 1. So for that, we need to be navigating on to the left because we need to check whether the element is 0 or 1. Because we already know the elements will be 1 further on to the right. So we don't need to iterate on towards the right.
So, like as per
That
your theory, like we will start from first row, last most element. Whenever
yeah,
getting a 1, it will be go to left, and whenever getting a 0, it will be go down or to the
yeah,
next row,
correct,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
So, what is the time and space complexity?
so for this time complexity, so for this time complexity can be considered as big O of m plus n. If I'm not wrong.
Yes, like we are at worst case, we'll travel 1 row fully and 1 column fully.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, I
So,
agree.
can you like quickly code it down?
Okay. So do you need the algorithm for this or the
Or
code
no,
which
no, just think of a function that is asking, maybe the function name is max 0, that is returning a 1 integer. So what will be your language, Java or C++?
I'll better prefer Java maybe
Okay,
for this.
so it will return a int.
Okay.
Function name is max 1, and
Okay.
it's taking a matrix as an input. Now you need
Okay.
to just return the row number. And one
Mhm.
thing is that row number is not starting from 0. I mean the first row. So if you are like
Mhm.
calculating from I equals 0 or something, you need to return I plus 1 or something.
Okay.
Okay. So just quickly write your approach and then we will try run for one of the test cases.
Okay. Okay. So first, I'll declare the return type as int for my function. So could you put down the function name for this? Max one, right?
Yeah, you can write max one.
Okay. Since my function is taking a matrix of 2D two-dimensional array, I'll be considering 2D array. I'll declare the function let the matrix be mat.
Okay.
And also I'll be considering the rows and columns to get the columns count and the rows count.
Yeah.
So while returning, I'll return the row itself for which exact row the highest number of ones are there. So I'll be taking the number n is the number of columns here and m is the
So instead
sorry
of
n is the
n
number of
and m,
rows.
you can write row and column. It will be more good as visible.
Okay. So I'll be taking this.
Yeah, now we can write.
Okay. So first, in order to start the index iteration from on towards the right, so I'll consider this. So I'll declare variable called m, and I'll start with from the right side index. So always the size of the column minus one would be
Yes.
the index. There would be
Yes.
starting. Okay. And for traversing each array elements, uh, uh, let me mention the comments for this, or let it be okay
Yeah,
if suppose.
you can mention or you can just tell me. Anyway, we are like talking and writing.
Okay. So I'll have a for loop for iterating through the array row elements. So for iterating the row elements, I'll be using a for loop. After that, so once we iterate the row elements, we need to iterate the column elements from backwards. That is from behind index. That is from index
Yes.
number 3. So for that, I'll be again using another for loop. So since we are iterating from for loop, I mean from the behind, we need to initialize that j to our column value. So whatever the value that is present in the column, we need to iterate this. Oh, sorry, we need to iterate this to m.
M.
If I'm not wrong, yeah. So this value should be greater than or equals to 0.
Yeah.
And since we are iterating from behind, we'll decrement the operator since we need to iterate from behind. Okay. So as we need to get the number of ones, I mean the count the number of ones, the array elements in the rows, we'll use an if loop for this. So we'll check whether our array element mat of I of j equals to 1. Uh, as I've explained the logic already, we'll check each of the elements from behind to whether the array elements is either 1.
Yes.
Okay. If suppose we get the array element as 1, then we'll consider that particular element is the winner. I mean that is the 1. I mean we are assigning that particular index to column. I mean here it is m. So at index number I, whatever the value is present, will be assigning it to m, the variable m. And also we need not to iterate that particular column again. So hence we are decrementing the value of column, if I'm not wrong. So we'll again traverse the element and we'll get to know the element is 1. We are assigning it to variable m and decrement the value of column. And again, as you would be knowing, the column value decreases and we'll further propagate to check whether what is the next element is either 1 or it is either 0. Okay. If suppose if you encounter a 0 while traversing the row elements, we can come out of the loop. If we while traversing, if we encounter 0, so we can use a break statement. So we can use a break statement for this. If we encounter any of the column values for this, if we encounter 0 while iterating through any of the rows. Okay. So but instead of appending this to m, I'll instead declare another variable for which I'll be assigning the value as 1, the index value of 1 to another row value.
Yeah, that you want to return.
Yes, 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 yes. Since I need to return that particular variable
Yeah, so
of
maybe you
row
can
count,
like,
let me count it as row count. So let this row count be 0. Since we need to return -1, if there are no
yes,
number of ones in the
yeah,
particular row, we can specify row count as -1.
yes,
So we'll assign the value I to the row count, and we'll be returning once we come out of the for loop. So this is where our else loop ends, and this is where the if loop ends, and do for loops, and we'll be returning a variable row count. So this should work, Arnabi.
okay.
Uh,
So is that column -1 minus working any or playing any role?
yes, Arnabi, because each time when you what do you say, when you decrement or when you need to move backwards from the matrix, I mean from the matrix element, you need to decrement the size of the column. Suppose say if you are coming from backwards, the size of index is 0, and row index is 0 and column index is 3. In order to iterate further to on towards the left,
Yeah,
we
you are
can,
using that J variable for it, right?
yeah, yeah. So since we are assigning the j value to column again, I
Yeah, you
mean,
are giving M, and
okay,
see, you are
okay.
only using J to
So
assign.
yeah, so I need to decrement minus m minus minus here instead of decrementing the column. So if I decrement the value of m, since the value of j is assigned to m, we need to decrement the value of m here, if I'm not wrong.
So that you can again start with the same M.
Yeah. So again, the loop ends and it starts beginning with the new row.
Okay.
That's how the
So
logic
can you
goes.
quickly dry run for the first example itself?
Okay. Okay. So first example. So first it comes to uh, first condition to check whether it's from the right side. It checks whether we get 1. It further propagates, and again
Yes.
we get 1. So once we get 1, it will check for it will get 0. So once we get 0, we need to again go further. We'll go downwards. We'll get 0. And again, since we are in the middle of index, not from 0 or from 1, we need not to check further because all the elements are sorted. Our elements onto the right will be 1 itself. So we'll check if it's 0. So if it's 0, we'll be again proceeding down. And once we, yeah, so once we get proceeding down, that is the least most index of occurrence of 1. Then we can easily note down this is the one with the highest number of ones. So at index number 0 itself, we are finding 1. So we can count this row as the one with the highest number of ones in this. So this is how the logic works for this.
Okay. And one thing that you are returning row count, which is storing I. Now I is starting from 0, but as an example, you can see we are not returning 0 based thing. For example, in the second example, we are returning 1, not 0.
Okay.
So there will be one problem. You need to return I plus 1, or you can return row count plus 1.
Okay. Okay. So instead, we can increment the value of I itself inside the if loop for this, or
Yes,
we need
yeah,
to.
you can do anything. Like we can write I plus 1 or row count plus 1, anything as
Okay. Okay, fine. I'll try returning the row count plus 1
well. Yes.
inside there, so that if
Okay.
we return the row count, we'll get the one with the updated row count.
Okay. So yeah, it was the most optimized approach, and thank you for coming to my channel, and the discussion was really nice. Thank you for coming, and like we had a really great session. So would you like to say anything?
Yes, Arnabi. So I'd like to thanks Arnabi for inviting made to this channel. It was really a great experience for me having a mock coding interview with Arnabi. Yeah, thanks, Arnabi. That's it from me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.